World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is magic.
Well, greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, helping you get your checkup from the neck up, getting your house, your financial house in order. And again, we're having a wonderful day today. We are working on ourselves. And so, of course, this is the last Thursday in Black History Month. And so at the end of the program, we will feature again a shero or a hero. Matter of fact, we're doing heroes in the financial service industry. So necessary. Again, if you have any questions or comments regarding what's going on in this show today, because I'm really excited about it, you can ask your questions. Feel free to put information in the chat, and we'll make sure that we deal with it up front with lots of energy and ready to give you our ideas and what you can do. Of course, I want to offer to you the opportunity of receiving the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book. That's by two of my associates, but it's over 500,000 in distribution right now and moving fast. And matter of fact, we're coming out with a few other books like How Money Works for Women and matter of fact, How Money Works for people wanting to buy a house or sell a house. So we're doing the How Money Works thing, but if you'd like, my theme is that if you want to get your house in order, you got to put in a plan, some type of plan. And so if you don't have a plan, then you are really planning to fail. If you have a plan, then most likely you're not going to fail because you have something that you can do and work with and a guide. So we offer a free financial analysis to anybody who wants it. All you got to do is send an email to Anaj Enterprises at Gmail Inc. at Anaj Enterprises Inc. at gmail.com, or you can contact me at 646-375-2121. And I'm so happy so many of you have decided that you wanted to get a checkup from the neck up and bring forth knowing there's no obligation. No one's going to try to sell you anything. My goal is to bring you education. If you know better, then you'll probably do better. And that's the theme of what we do here at Access Wealth Nation, bringing those thoughts and energies and bringing wealth into our community, the urban market, because that's a market no one seems like they want to pay any attention to. Well, that's okay. We'll tell our own story, and this is one of the things that is so important. So in taking less time, because I know I'm going to have a lot of time with this gentleman and a brother, and definitely one who is bringing forth a lot of information and a lot of energy on the internet, social media. We just had to have him come because he's dealing with an area that is so near and dear to basically all of us, dealing with relationships. You all know what I think about relationships. There are so many different kinds of relationships. I think what's really missing in our community happens to be the relationship that we have with our money, because we have a tendency to give it away. So with no further ado, I want to welcome my guest, Ken Canion. I got it right. Welcome to Access Wealth Nation.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, even if you had got it, we'd have got it right before it was over. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. I was looking at your bio and everything. I mean, I love that whole boss look, that you walking like that boss. Like, get out of my way. I'm coming to get my money.
That's it. I'm trying to change the world.
I know it. One person at a time.
I went down to Wall Street area and took the picture with the bull, but that wasn't the one I really wanted. So I got the picture with Fearless Girl, and me and Fearless Girl standing there, because we're going to make a difference.
I love it. I love it. So I love it. It's making a difference already. You are.
So Ken, I really want you to spend a little time telling the audience, our wonderful audience, what you really do and how you got started with it.
Well, glad you asked that question. So I'm going to give you the short version because I could be talking all night. But the truth of the matter is how I've been coaching for a long time. I started coaching on relationships about 14 years ago. I was married, my current wife, and I only had one. I
was like, okay,
just one. We were going
how many
through
you had?
patch.
Okay.
Yeah. We were going through a rough patch, and we had been married 6 years, and we just couldn't get along. We couldn't communicate. We were, and we had dated a long time, but it was like I was married to another person, and I'm sure she felt the exact same way. And right after that, one day, I'll never forget the day, and I put the video up in my group, and my wife and I, we just got into a big argument. And for some reason, she said, listen, can we just get out of the house? And so, and I asked her today, why did she want to do that? She says, I felt like the house was a part of the negative energy. And so we just started riding. I didn't want to go, really. She was looking, you know how you ride with somebody? She's looking out her window. I'm looking out my window. And I'll never forget it. She said, I'm hungry. And I was hungry too. And I said, there's Wendy's over there. Because all I had was $7. And at that time, I only had $7. And I wanted to stay within my budget. And so I went to Wendy's drive-thru, and while we were driving through, I thought we were going to get the food, just go home. She said, pull over in a parking space. She says, and here's her next words. She says, we're going to stay here till we figure out what's wrong with us, what's going on. Because neither one of us got married to get a divorce. We stayed there 2 hours and 37 minutes.
Wow.
In the parking space. But during that time, we came up with a conflict resolution system that not only changed our marriage, our trajectory, but has changed hundreds of marriages around the country. So that at that point, I realized all of this was a part of our purpose. And because of that, we've been married 20 years. We're the best of friends. I mean, she can't stand me some days, but I always tell her this, look, if you leave me, where are we going to go?
I love it.
So I just want to know what we're on. And so we both coached relate couples and I've been very successful at putting couples together, keeping marriages together. And I realized something, that it was bigger. It was bigger than just me. And so it became my calling. And that's what I've been doing.
That is phenomenal. And again, we know relationships start on all sorts of levels.
Sure.
I know as I was coming up, I always said, it's interesting, the world around me. There was a time when people used to, I'm going to age myself, I'm going to say when they used to court each other.
Oh, yeah, we're in the same age bracket.
Okay. You get
we're in
to
the
court.
same age group.
They don't court anymore. they go straight to the gusto.
That's part of what I teach my clients. The problem is, and so you're right, the courting process is different now. We allow social media, we allow the internet, online to help us in this process. And the problem with that is we never get to know the person who I'm supposed to getting to know. And so my on your show, you will find out my philosophy is totally different than most people. Okay. But I do what works. It works. And so a lot of people that hear me at first are aghast. They're like, oh, he said that? And then when I break down everything that I do, and I not only tell people what to do, but I tell them why to do it. I tell them when I see something, I said, let me show you what's happening behind the scenes. And so that's why I've been so successful I always tell people I have two missions. Number one, put couples together. Number two, keep them together. So my specialty is helping women attract. I always say this: I am the charismatic, knowledgeable relationship coach who help women attract their ideal relationship so that they can live a life of abundance.
That sounds fantastic. That's right up my alley, because you said the life of abundance. Right. And abundance works on different levels. Of course, we know love, spirituality. Let's get to the money.
Right.
Because as we were talking before, they had a stipulation for the United States that the average is because of finance. And so they like each other, they're attracted to each other, but 9 times out of 10, they're on opposite ends when it comes to finance. You got one who wants to save and one who wants to spend.
Right.
And the two of them where I come in is to just bring that idea of what my partner says so well, understanding and acceptance. I can understand the fact that you want to go out and you want to spend on a Mercedes. I don't have to accept it right away. Can we compromise? Can you get something a little less? Just make sure it's 4 wheels.
Right. I totally agree. I think I read a study today, and I think you told me 76% of the people divorce because of finances. And I've read several different studies, the top 2 or 3 reasons, but all of them had, whether it be finances, 1 or 3. They're all 1, 2, and 3 in everybody's poll. So look, it's safe to say that money is a problem. No, when I was growing up, they say no finance, no romance.
But it's interesting you say that. It's the other part to it is that understanding money, because I'm a financial educator, because I realized being a financial planner didn't work well, because people have a tendency, when they hear financial planner, they're going to come, they're going to try to take my money. They're going to tell me what to do with my money. No, if I educate you, then you can make an educated decision. It's even to the extent when I talk to couples is that, I tell them it's a time to dream. Tell me what your dream is. What is it that and I find out mostly half the time they on 2 different dreams, where they want to go. So in a case like that, you being a coach, what do you do to help to bridge this gap in people?
And so I'm glad you asked that question. What I do is, and my methodology is a lot different. I don't deal in, like, you might get a lot of relationship coaches who deal in what's right and what's wrong. I never do give a, if I call it, people talk about the moral equivalency or this is right, this is wrong. What I do, number one, is let's change the language. Let's talk about what works and what doesn't work. Right? What doesn't work. And so what I do is play these games, right? And I let them know, okay, in playing this game, here's what you desire. Okay, big Mercedes, big this, big that. And then this person wants this. So what I do is I play this other game where I have the person to write down their core values, okay? Their core values. The other person writes down their core values. And what you find out when I created this test, that their core values are incongruent. And so now you wonder why this person likes to be flashy, because what you find out is when they were young, they didn't have anything. And so I go deeper to find out why that's a core value. And that core value to want to have these things, because I never had these things, I feel validated when I get these things. And so I help the other partner understand why their core value is the way it is. Because had they done this before the relationship, had they hired Coach Ken, they would have done this and they would have known it. But then the other person says, wow, I didn't know that this was the reason. Because if you tell everybody why people do what they do, then the other person understands it. Now, then what we do is work on a happy, healthy medium compromise. Because if a person feels like I have to give up everything, they're going to resent the person who made me do that, or who they perceive made me do that. And so that's how I do it. But if you never get to a person's core values, why they want that, then you can never you can never heal that problem.
I got you. That's a real truth, because I see even on the finance end, if I can't find out where that deep-seated or the misnomer or the lack of education came from on money, people, just something simple as, the mother or the father said, we can't afford that.
Right.
Constantly telling a child you can't afford it. You can't get it. So after a while, the poverty mentality comes in, and it's like, I can't afford it. And then we pass it down to generation. And so the same thing can happen, I'm assuming, with relationships, because it's said, but I don't believe it, that we don't have real relationships. They get married, but it's not a relationship.
True.
Or they're not working on the relationship. Like, you got to work at your job. You got to learn it. Well, this is a job. You gotta work towards it and make it a mission, more so, to be happy and have someone to grow with. They say that the majority of women will wind up dealing with their finances by themselves because the man's going to die. I know that sounds terrible.
but that's the study. I mean, the average man lives 69, African-American man, 69 years. I think the average woman was 70
to 80 years old.
75 I saw. So that's 6 years longer than you on the average black man on average. So yeah, I understand it. You're absolutely
It gets
right.
to be a problem, because also we as women, and on a traditional note, I'm going to say, as African-American women, we like for our men to take charge at many times, even though we know what they need to do.
I do. Yeah, my wife knows what I need to do.
Know what you need to do, but we want to, we lift up our kings, and therefore, and let them know that we're the queen. And so, but in doing so, we've got to look at where things are, know where things are, simple things like, where did you keep the money? What's the passwords? And some people don't want to share all of that. Is that ever something that comes into your realm where people don't want to share and you've got to teach them or coach them into sharing?
Yes, but let's deal with the deeper problem, the deeper issue.
Okay.
The deeper issue is I believe there it's centered in insecurity. So most people, when you don't want to share your if you're in a union and I don't want to share my finances with you, I am insecure about that because I believe on some level I might lose something. And so if you never deal with that problem, why they came to that conclusion, maybe it was some unhealed area in their life because the last guy took them for bad. The last guy took the money. And so I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to give anybody that kind of access to me. Okay. And thus it creates a wall in the relationship. And so that's the thing that I want them to do, to understand, that's the thing I want them to understand.
I got it. Because I've always wondered why people, I have had couples come in, and a matter of fact, to tell a quick story was I had a couple in my office and I was getting the standard, okay, this is where we have a savings account. We do a little, when the man left out of the room to go to the bathroom, she jumped up and said, okay, I got this in an investment. She said, this is my mad money. This is it. And then when he walked back in and she's,
wow. Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I see it all the time. And, well, let me ask you this. When I know you don't talk about, I know you talk about money, but when they come to me, I talk about the relationship, money as it pertains to the relationship. And so what I tell them, I say, what you hide will ultimately divide. Now, I said, if you want to keep your money separate and you're honest about that, that's different than, yo, I have this account. I have this money aside that the partner doesn't know about. Okay. And then on the level when I go to, I said, that's deception. That is deception. You're planting a seed in the relationship that will lead to more deception. It's just that you do it with money and he may do it with another woman.
Yep. That's true. It's so true. It's being, when people deal with relationships, and I see relationships on all types of levels, but I tell folks the biggest relationship, of course, is with yourself.
Right, with yourself.
And then the next one is you should have some relationship with your money. I believe, my theory is in this society we live in, we don't have a relationship with our money because we never touch it. You think about it. Everything is electronic receiving, electronic pay. We never get a chance to hold it,
Right.
So my theory is that everyone should at some point take their check or their lump sum of money, throw it on the bed, because in the bed all relationships work. Okay. So you throw it on your bed and then you lay in it and wallow in it and get deep in it. Why? Because that's your relationship. You understand it. Now, some people say, well, it's kind of dirty. Well, don't go wash your money, please.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Because I didn't see people wash. Look, I had a client that not only washed it, but put it in the dryer and the stuff was all. So, don't wash your money. But that kind of relationship. So what are the relationships that you deal with? I know you deal with man-woman relationships, but any others where people have to deal with really themselves?
Well, I do.
By themselves?
So at the end of the day, I am a personal development and relationship coach. I don't distinguish between if you have a relationship with a woman, it doesn't, see, to me, I always say this, and again, this is where many times I'm controversial. I say you can't help who you love, but you can help how you love.
Oh, I love that.
And so, and I break it down, but I explain to them, you can help how you love. Now, many times there is a distribution of hormones that are released that give us the feeling of we're in love. Now, you cannot control that. There are things that come together, chemicals that come together that make us feel like we're in love. However, you can control how you love a person. So what my objective is again, I don't get into what's moral, right or wrong in your relationship. I have my own beliefs, but my job is to say, here's what works in the relationship, here's what doesn't work. Okay. And that's the way I operate. And that's why I've been so successful in what I do. All right. If the guy is out there doing cheating and doing other, I call it what it is. I'm very straightforward in what I do. If it's the female, I call it what it is. All right. If she's hiding money, I'm like, that's deception. That's no different than cheating. We just label it because it carries more weight to us. It's no different.
It's no different. If you're going to be in a relationship, then you need to be open and honest, even about your deception, the things that look, I'm just not going to tell you about this.
Okay. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, someone's saying, I believe people should seek financial advice before marriage. Amen. Hallelujah.
I totally agree. My wife and I wrote a book, right, called The Canion Culture, Creating Relationships That Last. And in chapter on page 85, I remember one of the things we talk about is we operate our relationship like a business. All right. And so in this book, I got it right here. I was just reading it. We operate our finances like a business. Core value number 4 for us. And the reason we do that is because we understand that, look, finances are a big thing in relationships. So when we operate it like a business, we have certain principles we put in place. For instance, my wife was out with her friends one day and they were out shopping. And there was a purchase, I think, over $500. And she told her friend she wanted to get it. She says, let me call my husband first. And they were like, it's your money. Why would you do that? She said, because we operate like a business. And what we do, anything over $500, we both get approval stamp on it. If me buying it, if it's her buying it, it's not that she's getting permission. That's just the core principle we live by.
It's called respect.
It's called, but I'm saying, but my thing is, look, is if she wants to go out and buy whatever, she can. But what we've decided that one of our core principles are, we're never going to be like a business can't go. Only place you can go over budget is the U.S. government, where you can keep writing checks and money you don't
just
have.
Keep creating money.
We can't do that. And so what we do is we have buckets for everything, but that works for us. That may not work for somebody else, but we've been able to establish the lifestyle where we are independent and we can do basically what we want to do.
That makes sense. And it's the fact that you're treating it like a business. I tell folks just the reversal. I say, treat your business like a marriage.
I like that too.
Because you can't get out. If you're going to have a partnership, you got to treat it just like a regular marriage.
I agree with that.
Because to get out of it, you're going to have to do a divorce because it's a legal divorce. It's a paper and a contract. And so I love what you said is that, when we're not on the same page, your wife and you decided to say, we're going to sit here and work this thing out. But the blessing out of it is the fact that you saved so many other people because you worked it out. That's a powerful thing to be in, and then you turned it into a business for your financial freedom. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I mean, there is in everything we do, there is a silver lining in adversity. If you change the way you look at things, you change what you see. See, I could have looked at it as we almost got a divorce, but what I did was I decided, no, I'm going to look at this as a blessing because I learned how to keep a marriage together. So if you change the way you look at things, you change what you see. It's just that we've got to begin looking at things differently. Mm-hmm. And then what we see will be different.
Well, there was a book but I want you to hold up your book.
Oh, the book that my wife and I wrote?
Yes.
Okay.
So I love it. Go ahead, hot mama, my queen. Go ahead.
That's my girl.
Yes, definitely. So y'all know this is one of the books. You can go, the site is brought up to let you know you gotta go deal with this brother, Ken Canion, because Ken is teaching people how to really deal with relationships. And that's important. Do you ever deal with the relationships with families also, or you just deal with couples?
I don't deal with family dynamics with so much. My specialty is couples and individuals. There's a need there, but I honestly, I have so much business, so many clients that I pretty much at this point, I don't deal with that. That's a need though. That's a
It
true need.
is. It really is, because people, for the most part, with families, someone doesn't want to go to a therapist. Okay, they don't want to go, but they will go to a coach to help them get through, as opposed to heading towards the divorce and then also throwing the kids out the house. And I mean, I hear it all. I'm not leaving them any money because they don't know what to do with it. But you didn't teach them anything.
True.
So all of those dynamics come in. I took on and have studied to become a financial therapist because I see people have a weird thought about how money works and what they should be doing with it. Most people think I need to spend every dime I have. I'm not leaving anything to anybody. And, I'm like, okay, that's not the way we should live life, but relationships are interesting because I wanted to ask you, as far as relationships go, they tell us, we hear the media that no one really is having having a real relationship and getting married. Where's the sanctity and the idea of a marriage? Now we've got all these new ideas. You can get health care if you're a domestic partner, so I ain't got to marry you. I can open up an account, I can set up a trust. I don't have to marry you. So you're seeing a lot of people who are married, or are they also just couples? Are basically, I know there's another word for it. Mama used to call it, they just shacking up.
They shacking up. They just shacking. Because I'm from the South. They just shacking. I will say, let me say this. People are still getting married. They are still, I think what's happened though, because we don't emphasize marriage like we used to. Like it was always, you go, when you get in a certain age, early 20s, you want to get married, have a family. Now people, and especially women are more progressive. Women are making money. Women are professionals. And so what's happening is they're jumping on that career, and they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna hold off on the whole marriage or family thing. And I want to get my career off. I want to be progressive in what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the differences. I also think the other difference is that we have the media, and because we have so much access to the end user, before we just used to get information from three main media sources, the nightly news, it was ABC, NBC, and
Yep.
but now people are privy to so much more information. That's and true. What's happening is that we're bombarded with so many different things, and the loudest voice or whatever, you can reach an audience. And so people are now questioning, is that what I really want? And so, it's good and it's bad. And that's just from my personal perspective.
No, I got you. I'm with you. It's so much that, it's not judging people on their moral life or whatever they want, but for them to know what they really want, and not include other people in their stuff that they shouldn't. I have had so many clients come and they're winding up in a divorce because he was one way in the closet and the other, she was in one way in the closet.
Right,
and they didn't know they were in the same closet.
Right.
And so, it's not to judge, but it's just to say, on the note, going back to the finances too, is that if you want to take trips around the world and I want to stay home, you know, somebody's got to come to a happy median. So is it that you get the median, or do you show people how they just exist with where they are and then how they work with their partner? Is that kind of like, how does that work?
Well, but before I get there, I have to figure out what I try to do is help people to identify what are deal breakers for them. So, because if you don't know that, if you spending all the money is a deal breaker, then what I help you identify before you get there, here's where you're going, because this is a deal breaker to this person. And so once I establish with both parties, and both parties are aware how the other person feels about a certain behavior, a certain outcome, then we start from there. Okay. Then how do you feel in this outcome? Then the other people say, well, you know what? I could do that. Now the other partner understands, they're fully aware of where we are and what's the red line in the relationship. A lot of times people don't know until the person says, you know, I'm filing for divorce. And you're like, how the hell did we get here? I mean, seriously. And so what I do is I help paint that picture and stimulate all of those things, stuff that we don't want to say, if in fact they want to save the relationship.
Got it. And that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you also. Have you dealt with people where one partner didn't really want to be there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why my wife and I repaired our relationship was because we both wanted to save the relationship. We wanted to, we just didn't know how. But you have some people who are fed up, and what happens is they get to a point, they never told their partner about what was going on inside of them. There was a seed planted that kept growing, and the other person didn't know about it until one day the person says, you know, I'm done. They're like, you're done? Done what? Done cooking? You know, no, I am done. You know, and so at this point, so what I try to do is, before we get there, let's figure out how we are where we are. But a lot of people don't want to communicate.
I understand. And that's very key, is communication. We had someone who put up that when two people decide, what was it? When two people decide to share a life together, they are married. That's even without the license.
I'm gonna have to push back on that one. I disagree with that.
Okay.
I know people who share a life together that are not married. They aren't married. They may be doing life together.
Yes.
But not only is marriage a I'm gonna say it's besides the legality of it, you know, the paperwork, we are legally married, and there is also an ideology or a concept. I say marriage is also, it's legal, and it's also a construct in our minds of what it is. And what I mean by that is, it's the construct of, we have this union together, we've got this legal paper together, we have decided to enter in this partnership and agreement. Now that construct might be different depending on who you ask. Okay. However, I personally disagree that if we are building a life together, I think it was, he said that we're married. And that's just my personal, I don't agree with that.
I know. Okay. Everyone is using the line, what do you bring to the table? How is that culture affecting dating, or is it affecting dating? I guess that's what she wants to know. What do you bring? What you bringing to the table? You know, and like you said, we women, you know, we say, well, I got it. I got this. You know, I'm good. But you know, to be a whole person, it doesn't have to do with just the finances. You know, you still need someone to talk to, someone to be, you said key, friends. You became friends. A friend doesn't let the other friend down. You know, the friend stands by their partners. That's a union in itself. So she's asking, everyone is using that, what do you bring to the table? So how does that culture affecting dating, or is it affecting the dating world?
So I'm glad you asked. And here's where I'm gonna lose some friends.
Go ahead, lose some friends. I'm with you.
So what
I'll be
happens
your friend.
is a lot of people think when women say, even men say, what you bring to the table. What happens to human beings is they create a fantasy in their head about what they think is going to make them happy. For instance, a person says, a man making $150,000, he's 6'2", he's got 6-pack abs, he's got a big 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. They say, I want that, because they believe that those things are going to bring emotional fulfillment, right? So what we do is we always focus on exterior, what you bring into the table. I get it. However, we never, ever talk about the interior, the inside. I want a person who's going to make me feel like this, who's going to do this. They're compassionate. They do this. And what happens, because the inside, when we focus on the inside, because society and culture has told us we need to focus on the exterior. All right. But the exterior, you'll get with people who get all that. They marry somebody, got the big house, got the 2 cars, driving the Benz, and unhappy, and they end up in divorce court because they look to solve an internal problem with external things. And so, yeah, the culture is affecting it. Is affecting it because we're going in with the wrong mindset to make it last. Because what happens if we have it all, right? I bring all this to the table and I lose it for whatever reason. It could be, I got ill. It could be anything. So now we no longer have anything without the external things.
That's true. And that's the thing is that when you go for the external, it's by the time you reach 70 and 80 years old, some of that external is gone.
I started to say a bad word, but you were right. It does not matter. It don't matter.
But you need to know, and I never forget, one of the elders told me this a long time ago, because we were at her 45th wedding anniversary. And it came back. I said, but what's the secret? And her answer was, first of all, love you more than you love anybody else. Second is love your children more than anybody else. And then I said, well, what about the man? She said, he'll stick with you because he's going to make you love. So that was her philosophy. She said, you got to, her answer was really because she said men are predators. They want to pounce. They want to win. And if they've already got it, it's like mama used to tell us as girls, man can get, if he don't want the cow, if he get the cow and the milk without doing anything, he gonna get the cow and the milk,
Okay. That's a fair assessment. Fair assessment.
And a matter of fact, it was something. A matter of fact, I was listening to the radio today, and it came up again with where this woman, she has this wonderful man. She says he's really great, but he's not performing for her. So she go find somebody else to go performing with, and that person she'd be performing with for 25 years. Wow. Okay. Most of the marriage. But the guy she was performing with decided to go get married finally. And she felt lost. And I said to myself, the answer to the announcer who was talking, I was like, number one, she didn't love herself because she gave away the milk and the cow for free. So why would he have to go do anything else? You a call, And so, that's how sometimes we do. We don't see our own value, our own worth. Okay, should couples have monthly allowances and the rest goes to bills and savings? Okay, my philosophy is that you must have a joint account. You need a joint account where the bills come out. You also need to have, each one has to have separate accounts. Now, some people will say, that's not right. I said, no, it is. Like, my biggest example is he buy you a diamond bracelet. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's a gift. If you look in the family account, you're going to know. It might be zirconians. Okay. You know, he's got this, special tickets that he wants, like, season tickets. He got a general idea how much it costs, but if you bought it on the black market, he get to see it. You don't need to know all the little things like that. You just got it out of love. So I think that you should have the bill accounts, the savings account. There are some families, because for economic sake, they both can't save for retirement. So one takes their check and puts for retirement, the other one pays the bills. That does happen. But I tell folks, because I believe in trust, but I say you need to have a little contract. You got the marriage contract, but you got to have a little contract that says, I'm putting all the money, and when retirement comes, we got this together. And even if we don't make it, we got this together.
Right.
That's my take on it.
Right. I like that, because that's what we do. The main account, and then we both have our own accounts. I agree. And so I love that philosophy.
I got you. I wanted to just touch on what the brother said, that what a marriage is, because I think he wanted to make a point. The thing is that I see it as, with marriage, it is a joint, it's a contract. But also we have a lot of, okay, he said, check the definition of married according to Webster. Well, Webster kind of confused anyway, but I'm not going to go there. But the thing is that, because we have some religious wise that they don't get a license, they work on the word. And before there was marriage licenses, there was, because the father, they weren't letting us get no more. We jumped a broom. And before that, I know I've been in Africa many a times, and it's a whole community thing, that it's not a paper, but because they don't have those kind of things all the time over there. They have the community come, and when those two join together, the community is the witness.
Right.
And if you want to get divorced, you got elder, and they're going to tell you no anyway, because you got to go back and work. Because it's not, that's the other thing that I think is missing with relationships. People don't want to work, and it's so easy to say divorce.
It's very easy, and you're absolutely right. People, I've heard people get married and say things like, you know what, if this doesn't work out, then it's much like if I go to the gym and I don't lose weight, I can stop. And many people have that mentality, unfortunately. They do.
And that's where, anybody can walk. If I had a client of mine talking about Goldie Hawn and Kirk, I forgot his name. They're going me and names today, but Kirk Russell. Right. And they never got a marriage license, but they did everything through, which is really a license, because they did through contract.
Oh, wow.
That's a license.
Because a marriage is contractual. Okay.
That's it. It's the contract. And then, so, paying someone an extra $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 to put you together. I like the concept, though, of the dedication, the connection, and then also put a contract together.
Right.
Even when you go down the aisle,
You
Get
like to go to contract? Hey, before I say I do, he go. You know what? The officiator says, "Hey, here you go. Before we say I do, can you go ahead and sign this, please?"
Contract. This is how we work
that
together.
is hilarious. Okay, cool.
You know, because it's one of those things. I get frustrated with people who do the big weddings. You know, I know people like that, and I think it's nice to give a party. But when I had one client spent $60,000 on a wedding, and I was like, and then they lasted a whopping 1 year. They didn't even make it to the 1 year anniversary. They needed you. They needed you.
Wow, they could have what they could have did was spent $10,000 on the wedding and paid me, and then they had some left over.
That's it. You know, put it together. I mean, that's why I said is that people don't court, because when you court, you get a chance to know, you know, what this person is really thinking. What did they, you know, you could wind up with someone who's just telling you a bunch of stuff just so that you can complete the relationship.
That's true.
But the reality is that you need to see the person when they're sick, when they're worried, when they're stressed. You know, it's just like you were talking about the things on the external. He's got the fine car, she's got the great body, and, you know, she's the trophy wife. And, you know, you get all of that stuff. But then what happens when all that goes away?
Yes, because looks gonna fade, the car gonna get old. I mean, the house gonna have problems. You got to get it fixed. Yes, all of that. And then here's the bigger issue. The bigger issue is this, though, is that people in our society, when you meet a person, what is the first thing you say? What do you do? What do you do? And what happens is people relate their value based on what they do, not who they are. And so what I tell them, the flaw in that is, what if you no longer do what it is you do? What if you cannot do that thing? What if you're this great athlete, football player or basketball player? And what happens when you no longer do that? Because you've intertwined your identity and your worth to that what you do, not who you are. Oh, that's so what I tell people is, stop it. Stop that. Because now it's not based on what I do. I'm great based on who I am.
That's it. It's just like what you said.
To love themselves.
It's just like what you said is that people ask, what do you do? And the first thing they say is, you know, their job, their work, as opposed to, I just love people.
Right.
You know how far
I feed the homeless. Right.
You know, people look at you and go, what? You know, I like to go walk through the park in my bare feet.
Right. I mean, that makes so much sense. But again, we live and we're tied up in the image of things. Like it's the idea of marriage or the idea of being with somebody. So, you know, it's the idea of being rich and being the man or the woman. It's the idea that we are enamored with. And truly having the things, once you get it, then you realize it's melodramatic, because it's like, I got the big house, now what? Because you're looking for internal fulfillment from external things. It never happens. It's never going to happen.
It's so true, because also during COVID, a lot of folks found out they were with the wrong person.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Show. Okay, so the question came is, how long should a couple date before they start talking finances?
What my take on that is simply this, is when the conversation, first of all, you need to start talking finances at the beginning. However, but you talk about it differently. And so I wrote a book called Just Ask, 50 Questions to Know If He's the One. It's a free ebook. And in the book, I talk about asking financial questions in a different way. For instance, in my questions, I said, ask this question. And this question lets you know, if you had $50,000 today, what would you do with the money? If you lost your job, how would you rebound? Now, what's happening is you're understanding, you're getting to the psyche of the person about finances. You're not saying, well, how much money you got to save? I'm not asking you that right now. What I need to know before I get to that is, what is your belief system around money?
That's awesome.
Before we ever get there.
That is so powerful, because that's true. You don't need to know, because the situations that come up, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
But to get your idea of what you would do is, some people will just say, if I lost my job, I'd die. Now you got a problem.
Now you got problems.
You got problems.
You got problems.
And that's what, people, the time span, we talk about finance all the time. Just right now, we've got the market going haywire. People are getting nervous. They talk about it, but you should be talking to your mate about that. How do you feel about what's going on? Some people say, I don't care. It don't matter. I ain't got nothing in the market anyway. Then the question comes, why don't you?
Right.
But that's the things that I think that, people really do things on the external. They don't go internal. And then when they get the chance to go internal, that's why I was asking, do you have people that, like sort of buck against you? Because you got to deal. Nobody really wants to reveal their true self.
Well, they don't, because, and for a number of reasons, but the main reason they don't want to, they feel like that part of them won't be accepted. See, we only present to people what we feel they will accept. That is why we bring our representative to the table, because we feel like the representative is more palatable. You will accept my representative, but if I show you who I really am, you might not accept me. And then that's why people will fake it. And then you get with the person and they're like, who are you? All right. But this is the real me, but you didn't know, because I showed you who I thought that you would accept.
The representative.
Yes.
I got it. This is so awesome. I know we got to go. I don't want to. I need to get a part 2 with you.
Absolutely. Let's do part 2. And but I just appreciate what you're doing, educating our people on money. And I'm with you. My big thing, I want to be financially literate. I'm always reading. I'm always investing. I'm always doing things, because at the end of the day, that's where our power is. Our power, we have so much buying power as African Americans, but we don't use it. And that's your issue. That's your expertise. But I got my own thoughts about
it's so important what you're talking about. Last year we did $1.6 trillion we spent as a community. Wow. But none of it went to our community.
I know.
And that drives me up the wall. One of the most powerful times, and I got the chance to be at Black Wall Street in Tulsa. And during that time, to walk the streets and see 600 businesses that were there. Because of segregation, it's almost like I wish they'd bring segregation back, because we start to get resilient when those days come in. And those businesses, $1 lasted in that community 3 to 5 years. $1 doesn't last an hour in our community.
I know.
So yeah, we got a lot to do, but definitely I love what you do. I love the fact that you are bringing couples to the level of understanding themselves and not running, start to get back in. I'm going to tell this is my commercial. You have got to go to Ken Canion, and you've got to spend some time and just go to his site, even see what he does. If you having that issue in your relationship, no matter what type it is, go see Ken. He's going to have you look at yourself. It's like they always say, you point the finger and 4 come back. I love that.
I love it.
Ken, I want to thank you so much for being on our show. I really appreciate you. Like I said, I would love to do a couples and money seminar. Hopefully, this COVID will go away for a while, and then we can all do it in person.
In person would be great. So I'm open, and look, let's make it happen. Thank you
We're
so
gonna
much
make it happen.
for
I'm about
having me.
Okay. So everyone, as you know, we end this Black History Month. We've got the opportunity to highlight some heroes and sheroes. Tonight, we're going to basically highlight two, because people don't know how powerful. We don't have really Black-owned banks in this country right now. The way I say it is that all you got to do is look at the board of directors and it'll tell you who's running it. So we're not going to, we don't have that. But there was a time we really did, due to segregation, had banks. One of the people that ran a bank was Reverend William Washington Brown. And he was the first Black-owned bank. And it was because he allowed people to, in Chicago, to be able to get money in the bank and make money. You know, banks make money on you. We talk about that all the time, the rule of 72. Get my book. But the thing is that he sort of got supported by white people to help him. But this man, Jesse Binga was the first to have a savings. His bank was called the Capital Savings Bank, and it was in DC, and Black owned totally. And he opened it to the level like how we started this month. We talked about Travers Bell, who opened up the first brokerage, Black-owned brokerage on Wall Street. As a matter of fact, it wasn't the first, it's the only, because they never let us do another one. Okay, but Travis Bell. So now we're ending with Jesse Binga, who decided that the way that our people could make money and borrow money and build businesses was to have a bank. So we have a little tribute to them at the end. And again, Ken, thank you so much. And we will be in touch. We're going to talk and make things happen. And I hope you all tune in, because this is going to be powerful, because I'm going to let Ken go with the relationships. I want him to dig so deep that people all get angry with us.
So I'm waiting. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you. And take care. Have a good night. Take care. And so a little bit information about the two gentlemen I mentioned, Reverend William Washington Brown. I don't know why I can't say that all in one word, but it's okay. And then there's Jesse Binga. So y'all have a good night and be safe. And those of you up here in the north, be warm.